Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cardinal Sports Complex in the Bob Pivick courts for CTN's live coverage of high school tennis. Today features a matchup between the Coon Rapids Cardinals and the Northwest Suburban Conference opponents from Spring Lake Park. Joe Yund on the sidelines, joined by Rumil Setz. Thanks for joining us and bringing some expert insight on the tennis.
Oh, thank you so much.
We're going to start looking at the first singles matchup between Sam Murillo and Zach Eritham. And Rumil, Sam has been on a tear so far, 9-1 on the season, and just a junior, but boy, does he have the talent to compete with the best in the state.
Oh yeah, he's on fire. A lot of these players he's been beating this year, I've actually had the honor of playing with in the off season, and he's just playing smarter and smarter tennis every week.
And we saw, Sam has been, he was a big part of the team last year as a sophomore. Obviously, the year before that, his freshman year, lost to COVID, the 2020 spring. Big slam right there. But saw him as an 8th grader get some varsity time as well. And Coach Storick even was lobbying to get him up to the varsity ranks when he was a 7th grader. What is it about him that makes him so special?
I feel like he's just receptive to all types of coaching. Getting him to play with a lot of these varsity players early on gave him the exposure and the time to just sort of settle into that sort of level of play. And he's just taken every opportunity he can to take it in, to experiment with it, and I feel like that's just driving his success.
And you've been working with the tennis team this season. What, when you watch Sam, obviously he's a well-established player. What kind of pointers do you give him? I mean, is it where are the areas that you see that he may still need to kind of improve on?
I wish I would have spent more time with him during this season. I haven't been able to get on the courts with him too much just because he's been handling his business pretty well. But for the most part, it's first strike tennis. It's whether your opponent is pushing you off the court, pushing you around the court, or giving you kind of these static balls. Can you recognize an opportunity to go in? Can you strike first and then follow it up and execute and finish them off the court as quick as you can? But I think if anything, it's just going to be patience, waiting for that one ball to strike.
And they so impressed with the team as a whole, off to a 6-4 start. That includes 2 losses by 4-3 scores. So, playing very strong, and not a single senior on the roster.
Yeah, that is wild. It's such a young crew. I'm so excited for the depth to continue on throughout the years.
And we won't see them today, but the Held brothers holding down the 2nd and 3rd single spots. Ryder just a sophomore, and Cooper a freshman, means great things for this program for years to come.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. And Cooper too, being as young as he is and knowing he's got other players on the team like Sam who have climbed the ranks, starting as early as he has. It's just good to see that the history's there, that the opportunity is it's in front of him. So I'm glad he's able to take advantage of that as well.
Murillo took the first game, and now Eritham with the service, trying to climb back in. Only loss on the season for Sam Murillo thus far against a Maple Grove opponent that is one of the top-ranked players in the state, and a player that he faced against last year. And this year, while he still lost in straight sets, much closer sets than they were last year.
Yep, he's learning. He's learning from his mistakes. He's spending a little bit more time watching his opponents and just feeling out the points. And I feel like he's already doing that now, as we saw in that first game. Eartham is just attacking cross court, trying to create some space, but Sam is just able to stay cool, wait for his opponent to make one error, and then he just takes advantage.
And you can see Eartham definitely has plenty of power on his strokes, but power isn't necessarily the most important aspect to being successful.
Exactly. I mean, if you have weapons, use them, but when you use them, I think, like you're saying, matters more than anything else.
And a break for Murillo puts him up 2-0 and gets him the service back. And he's seen a lot of that as well, you know, winning not only in straight sets, but giving up very few games along the way.
A lot of momentum to build off of. I'm really happy to see how well he's able to manage the momentum. A lot of players, especially at his level, in my experience, have done one of two things. They enjoy more of the underdog sensation, right? They start off kind of slow and sluggish, and then use that to sort of fuel the comeback. And others just kind of come out swinging a little too hard and try to dish out their weapons too fast, and the game just kind of gets away from them.
Eartham really with a really good opening point to this set, able to force Murillo back off the net and then approach on his own and get the winner. But there, the baseline stroke just handcuffed him a bit, sent him into the doubles court.
Nice use of slice there too. They're bringing it all out just the first few games.
And it is not warm out. The sun could definitely help. It's warmer than it has been for parts of this early season. The wind is definitely a factor, but how much more difficult is it to play in those types of conditions? Great play there for Eartham, and he's got a solid lead here, trying to break Sam's service and get his first win of set one. But I mean, obviously, everyone's more comfortable when it's 70 and sunny out, but the fact of playing tennis, high school tennis in Minnesota, you have to deal with the weather conditions. But I have to imagine it's a little more difficult to play in 35-degree wind chill.
Yeah, it definitely challenges a lot. Challenges the IQ, honestly, more than anything else. Obviously, when you've got chill factor like this, you've got to get the body warm. You've got to keep it warm. That does a lot on your mental. But if you understand how wind affects the ball, understand how to adjust your strategy according to the weather, that'll make or break any player regardless of their level.
Well, after Eartham had that strong start to that service from Murillo able to close it out with the last couple of points. Great win down to the forehand corner, and he's quickly ahead 3-0.
He looks like he's ready to get out there quick too.
Yeah, he didn't take a very long break. Obviously, you don't, dehydration doesn't become as much of a factor when it's this cold. You're not losing a lot of water through sweat, but yeah, he took a very short break and even forgot to update the scorecard. But now he's done that. And
focus is there.
Eartham getting some pointers from one of the Panthers coaches. Not the start he was looking for as he double faults.
just gonna say, I mean, starting strong like that, we're seeing sometimes it's a lot easier to turn it up than it is to turn it back down. So
that one just a bit long and quickly behind Love 30.
wow.
A solid ace. He's got good power, and that first service is strong. We saw the double fault, but I've always felt like, you know, first service, it's obviously you want to have a great first service, but having a strong second service really sets a player apart, because if you don't get that first one in and that second service is significantly softer, it just to kind of takes the control out of your hands on your service.
Oh yeah, for sure. Most coaches will live and die by the 2-second serve strategy. You know, you want your second serve to be almost identical to your first serve, because we know most players are going to be jumping on top of that second one. They're expecting a weak second serve.
Eartham played it just a bit wide, and now a couple of break points for Murillo. And we'll see that second service from Eartham here as the first just a bit long. And he gets let, fortunately. That one took a high skip off the top of the net. And a bit too long, and 4-0 lead for Murillo.
I feel like that was a perfect example of patience at play. Just wait and see who's gonna shoot first, who's gonna give somebody something first. It seems like Sam is just a little bit more prepared to hunker down.
Trying to back him off with a long lob. It's a bit too long. That one just a bit long, but we've seen that early on. Maria doing a really nice job of getting Eartham moving him all over the court. Big part of why he has been successful so far.
You know, I was thinking back to all the matches, you know, my teammates and I have had to play in conditions like this, and it's really easy to kind of focus on a player making mistakes, you know, hitting long, hitting short, but just thinking about hitting out and what that does to your confidence, I can see why these players are maybe hitting the ball a little bit long, more than we'd probably see them. Is they're just trying to maintain confidence in their strokes. It's easy to freeze up. It feels like you got frostbite all in your joints, and so the more you hit out, the more loose you tend to be.
Eartham just missing long on that one. I believe this will be game point for Murillo. could be wrong. I've always been impressed with tennis. It's such a, you know, self-governing sport. You know, there's a lot of trust between opponents that, you know, it'll be called fair on the other side, in and out, and you know, whether they're long or not. There's a lot of trust and obviously a lot of sportsmanship required to play tennis at this level. And that was game point in Amarillo with the 5-0 lead here in set number 1.
Yeah, the team sport, but also a very independent sport at the same time. The honor system, I think that's a really healthy, can be a very constructive and healthy thing for the youth to come into contact with.
Well, and I assume it's that way from the time you start playing at the younger levels. You don't have line judges everywhere you go, but it's always, to me, been one of those impressive things. You know, other sports that I was not as familiar with, I have become far more familiar with over the years here at CTN. But you know, for instance, the trust and sportsmanship to you know, kind of self-govern in tennis, the way that you know, swimming and diving, once they've clinched the match, the winning team no longer adds points to their team score. Those are things that, you know, you didn't see in the sports I grew up with. You know, those sports that are more in the public eye: hockey, baseball, football, softball, basketball. You know, you wouldn't see a basketball game where a team has a 30-point lead, so they don't put points up on the board every time they score the bucket anymore. Or you wouldn't see a basketball game where they were allowed to call their own fouls. It just, so to me, that is a great aspect of sports like tennis. And of course, we talk about it all the time, the fact that tennis is a sport that you can play forever. You know, people playing well into their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. And those who don't, maybe they switch over to pickleball, which is taking the world by storm.
Yeah, and I'm not upset about it. I'm so glad tennis is able to partner with it in a lot of different ways. Lifelong sport, you know, why not add on to it? Whatever draws people to it to stay healthy and stay active, more power to it.
And get outside and play.
Exactly. No matter the temperature.
Yeah. Murillo trying to break service again here on Eartham and sweep set number 1.
Seems like he's struggling just to get the serve in now. I wonder if that's the pressure getting to him.
Well, and again, you talked about confidence and you know, the mental aspect. Tennis is such a mental game, where obviously you have to have the physical abilities and the skill to play, but if you're not focused and strong mentally, you'll find it very hard to be successful. One reason why I played some tennis when I was a kid, just for fun, but so competitive and so quick to get down on myself, I never would have made a good tennis player.
I don't know, sometimes with age, the more you play, you find ways to channel that. And I don't know, I don't want to say that gone are the days when you see players on changeovers and during timeouts whipping out the notebook and going over their self-talk, but I don't seem to see the focus or the emphasis on that as much.
a 6-0 win in set number 1 for Sam Murillo at first singles. We're going to take a look at the first doubles match as well. Cal Jensvold and Joe Savelli on the court for Coon Rapids, taking on Philip Gable and Ian Pivovar for Spring Lake Park. Jensvold and Savelli, I think like a 3-2 record as a doubles team together so far this season. They, Coach Storick, as he is inclined to do, likes to shuffle things around. He had a number of players moving in and out of different spots, except for first singles. That one was pretty sewn up when they started the season, but these two have settled in nicely and have played well, even in their couple of losses to they came to teams like Maple Grove and Centennial that are top level doubles teams. They've competed well and held their own.
Mm-hmm. And all that shuffling around is I think it does a lot of good for the team. You get players coming in out of different positions, getting different tastes, different looks, sharing the wealth.
And as soon as we moved over to doubles, one of the best volleys of the match so far over to start the second set at first singles.
That was wild.
Yeah, although we didn't see it, Eartham had Murillo scrambling a bit. I believe came up with the win on the point.
Looks like they might have mixed up their tennis balls.
Pivovar went and got it and got back, and we'll see Cal Jensvold on service. Jensvold, one of the co-captains for the Cardinals this season.
Sometimes doubles and singles can feel like two different worlds, two different games you're playing. Doubles is a lot more about applying pressure, keeping pressure on the entire time. Usually the first team that gets to the net wins the points.
Well, and I was just going to ask, we were talking about Coach Storick shuffling things up. It's something he's done forever. When you played, did you see a lot of time on both singles and doubles courts?
Our team composition was pretty different from this. We weren't as young in my formative years, so we had positions that were pretty well established. When one person did cycle out, it was really just one player on one position, so there wasn't too much shuffling. I think everyone had it nailed down, where they were playing and why it was helpful to the team comp.
Savelli's return just a bit long, and that's a break for Gable and Pivovar. They had won the first game as well. We'll see when they update the board if that puts them up 3-0 or if it's 2-1. Looks like 3-0. And so a little bit of a slow start for Jensvold and Savelli. And this as I talked about the mental aspect of the game. When you find yourself down early on, what do you have to do? What do you have to tell yourself to keep yourself from really getting down on yourself and to kind of help yourself battle back in?
Oh man, a lot of things. Usually just pick out a couple. Keep it simple, right? Keep moving your feet, right? Move on to the next point, or pick your favorite shot, the one you're the most confident in. And go with that. If you're really in need of some assistance, on changeover, use the coach, and let's see if the coach has something for you to anchor yourself to. But
Gable and Pivovar are both left-handers. Does that make it more difficult when you look over and see a pair of lefties?
Oh man, I'm notorious for not even looking at that. I didn't even notice that you mentioned it. Yeah, it does. Oh yeah. Even from the start, the serve kicks out to a different direction. Not used to that in practice.
Return just spun a little bit wide. Jensvold trying to play cross court.
Nice play. That's something I've seen Coach Storick promoting more and more as the years go on, is that chip and charge technique, or that tactic, especially when the wind is taking the ball all over the place.
Yeah, I would think that gives the Cardinals a little bit of a kind of more of a home court advantage playing in these kind of conditions. Just the positioning of the court. It is very windy here quite often. You see a lot of teams that have wind breaks around their courts, or their courts are just in spaces that are maybe not quite so open, so the wind doesn't become as much of a factor.
For sure. A lot more time on task for Coon Rapids playing around with the chaos.
Strong net play that time for Savelli. Cardinals just trying to chip back in one game at a time.
One thing I love seeing from the servers' partners on both ends is the psychological pressure that they're putting on those returners. Just moving a little bit, juking them out right before the return, making the returner think about something.
Well, you see Gable playing way close to the net. Closer than a lot you see play kind of mid-box. He is right up on top of the net.
He's definitely letting his presence be known. Talk about the lefty spin. I see he's going for this down the tee, and for a righty, if he can hit that spot, it's going to get away from the backhand, which is already going to put you at a disadvantage. So he gets it right, it could be deadly.
Yeah, I had noticed that Pivovar was left-handed in the warm-ups. It wasn't until we kind of moved over and started watching him that I realized Gable's lefty as well.
Oh, man.
Soft return by Jensvold will push that one back to deuce. Cardinals back to the advantage.
Really handcuffing the Cardinals with that lefty serve.
Savelli, a good play right at the feet of Pivovar, making it a little difficult to get the racket on. That play will give Coon Rapids its first win here at first doubles. And that'll give the service to Savelli. This is a big service now. You know, down early 3-0. You get that one back on the break. Opportunity here if you can hold serve to be right back in this opening set.
Yeah, for sure. As much pressure as there is to come back, the team on top has also got to be thinking about, well, we can't let them in. Can't let them in. We got to maintain this pressure. So we'll see which one of those comes out on top.
Well, and Savelli starting with a double fault, certainly not how he had hoped to start his service.
There it is. Okay.
Is it hard, or does it seem that most have a preferred side to serve from? For instance, for you, was it easier for you to serve from the right side or left side, or did it make no difference?
Deuce side's usually the easier to serve on. Ad side's a little bit tougher because it's usually the deciding point. So if you're on ad, you know you're either going to be finishing a game off, playing to finish a game off, or playing to save yourself. But you also get into righty versus lefty for a nice volley. For a righty, you're going to want to serve from the ad side because you get a better look at the backhand of the player, your opponent. So I guess it really depends on what's going on. Not really a good answer, but an answer nonetheless.
I think it's fair. believe it's 40-30.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And if that was right, that means we're at deuce again. After we saw a long back and forth at that point in the last game, Coon Rapids finally coming out on top.
And this is where I think things get really fun. We've had some deuce games go 15, 16 iterations of deuce. And now Savelli's in a position where, you know, even though they're on top, he's got his ad. They've got to close it out here. See which way the pressure swings.
Played into the net, and that will give Coon Rapids the win. So they're right back in it at 3-2 here, down 3-2 in the opening set. We're going to move back over to the singles court where Sam Murillo is just cruising right along. The board says 3-0 here in set number 2. Not sure where they are in since that changeover.
I could be wrong, but I believe it's 4-0 Murillo.
Sam made it to state last year, and I don't remember what the record was, like 18-4 or something, 18-6 maybe. It was a pretty impressive record. And when I talked to him at the beginning of the season, he said, "I just want to be better than I was last year, better in every aspect of the game. I want to be, you know, have a better record at the end. I want to get back to state and go further." Well, that's you know, setting the bar high is not a bad thing, and you know, he's definitely off to a great start.
Oh yeah. You know, and that, again, I love that mentality of, you know, the person I gotta beat is myself. And one of the things, again, that the coaches have gone over is the difference between standards and expectations. On a day like this, keep those standards high, but make sure to adjust those expectations. You never know what you're gonna have to deal with. You're gonna have a good day, a bad day. Be willing to adapt. I think Sam's doing a really good job of that. The score shows.
Looks like he's flipping 2, so 5-0 and a chance to finish up the sweep here. And like I said, you know, as soon as we switched over to doubles, that was probably the longest volley there has been in the match, and it ended up on that long volley. It ended up with Eartham winning that point. And kind of watching it out of the corner of my eye as I was also paying attention to the doubles match, but you know, they for other players who are not, you know, in the position that Sam's in right now, how important is it to take the little victories from those matches that don't go your way, and just think, you know, I played out some really strong points, and try and take those positives out of it. How important is that?
Extremely. Give yourself a lot of grace, you know. Take the wins when you can and learn from your L's. That's usually what we try to teach them. Before you know it, you know, you've built something.
Really strong service there from Eartham, and Murillo could not return. I believe 15 all.
Seems like every time we switch back, we get an intense point.
On the court, we're not watching.
Exactly. You know, and I know we've been talking a lot about mentality here and confidence, but something's been kind of irking me for the last year as I follow players like Sam. It's I've noticed, and I wonder how much of an athlete's experience is judged and based on the outcome rather than the journey. For like what really separates some of these players from loving the sport and succeeding at sport is just understanding that it doesn't always have to come down to a win or loss. It can be a win and a loss, but also just realizing, you know, what you've gone through and how that's built your character and your athleticism and whatever else you can take away from it.
Oh, I agree 100%. You know, I in my coaching days of baseball when my son was young, and after a loss, you know, kids frequently got down on, you know, oh, we lost this game. And my thing was always, hey, if you came out here, you had fun, you learned something about the game, and you know, continued to enjoy being a part of the game, whatever the game is, whether it's baseball, tennis, hockey, football, lacrosse, doesn't matter. If you're out there and you're enjoying it, you're doing something that you're happy about, being a part of a team or an individual sport that brings you joy, and you're learning something about it, you really, the takeaway is not the win or the loss, because at the end of the day, you know, years later, you'll remember the time you spent on the field or court, at the rink, in the pool. You'll remember all the times you spent, but not necessarily the wins or losses. Mm-hmm. I say that at the same time, there are a couple of losses that still stick in my head 30 years after the competitions are over. But you know, the greatest memories I have is just being with my teammates and playing the games.
Yep.
So I definitely agree with that, and you know, at CTN we definitely try and look at the positives of Cardinal sports, Cardinal athletes, even in those years that aren't so successful. As Murillo gets the straight sets, wins 6-0, 6-0, he improves to 10-1 on the season.
You know, and I hope Eartham, you know, takes a look at this match, and instead of focusing on the pain, he's able to kind of nail down where he made some good choices and decisions, and how he might be able to improve as time goes on.
And again, you know, think about the long volley that we talked about, but weren't able to see that you know, went back and forth. It was a good, intense point, and he ended up winning that point. You know, that's kind of what I was getting at. You know, how important it is to take away. Yeah, I didn't win a single game, but I won some big points. And here's what I think I did well to win those points, and here's, you know, where I think I struggled and why, you know, I didn't win as many as I would have liked. But yeah, a great victory for Murillo, 6-0, 6-0. We'll go back over to the doubles match, which is tight. It is now 4-3 at the changeover in favor of the Spring Lake Park duo. And you know, if I don't, I'm sure they didn't get too overly confident up 3-0, but you know, definitely a different position here with their lead down to 4-3, and we'll see Pivovar on the service again. Gable trying to cut it down and lost it into the net.
From a coaching perspective, it's kind of hard to tell who's ahead right now. You know, if I'm just looking at body language and the tactics they're using, and that's kind of a good thing. I think everyone's in it. Everyone's trying things, and we're still trying to get our bearings.
Strong play at the net for Gable on that point. Evens it up at 15-all.
He definitely hasn't abandoned his presence at the net. Yeah, there it is again.
Yeah, he's maybe not the tallest of the bunch, but he's definitely not short, and he takes up a lot of room up there, and with him just kind of right on top of the net, he's good, athletic, moves well, and just makes it hard for the Cardinals to get it across. Another strong play at the net, and that puts Panthers up 40-15. Couple of long serves from Pivovar. Back-to-back double faults. Brings us to deuce once more.
This is where the fun happens.
And again, that's been, you know, kind of how this one's gone. Two pretty evenly matched teams. A lot of, you know, we have a 4-3 match, and a lot of those games have gone to deuce or even multiple deuce. Add in for the Panthers.
Great change of direction.
It'll put the Panthers up 5-3 here in the first set. Savelli on the serve for Coon Rapids.
Great find. Able to sneak that one into the lefty's forehand, and you know, unbeknownst to most, lefty's backhand is usually stronger than the forehand because they're hitting against forehanders all day, or the righties.
Great service there from Joe Savelli. Puts them up 30-love in a game they really need.
Yeah, 3-4. Now we're at 3-5, is it?
Yep.
3-5.
Great little play between the two Panthers for Cal Jensvold. Give Coon Rapids an opportunity here, up 40 love.
Oh, great middle.
Double fault will make it 40-15. And a big win right there for the Cardinals. Keep themselves alive here in the opening set.
Really underutilized serve, jamming right to the body. I feel like if they get a chance to bring that out in this set, they should definitely be using that again.
When as they're on the changeover, we're getting the word from Coach Storick. You know, just looking down the line, it looks like a number of the red numbers larger than the black numbers. Looks like Ryder held and Cooper held, both with leads at second and third singles. And it's great to see, you know, the Cardinals as a whole having some success this season with this young lineup. But, you know, again, back to those two, just a sophomore and an eighth grader who will be big parts of this program for years to come. But all down the line, they want to achieve great things this year, but know that next year this team is going to be that's going to be a big year for this team. I'm not sure about Joe Savelli, but I know Cal Jensvold's a junior. So, you know, and Sam will be a senior next year. So great to see him having success this year, and just how much it means for the program moving forward. Good play at the net that time by Ian Pivovar.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of time to build together with each other. I'm sure a lot of them will be happy to get out on the courts this summer. Continue.
One wide and an early 30 love lead for the Panthers. Little off the mark that time. And the Panthers with an opportunity here with set point. A couple chances at set point with Gable on the serve.
Very nice.
I believe Ryan Held just finished his match I believe he was victorious at second singles. And the miss hit there by Jensfold will give set one to the Panthers, 6-4.
Good opportunity for them to check in with each other, checking on what's been going on, see what they can change up. I feel like, though, at the latter part of that set, they were doing a better job of stepping in and finding that lefty spin. So I'm excited to see what they do with that this next set.
Coach Storick keeping up public relations.
You know, and I believe that's one of the middle schoolers, actually, who's playing on JV, C Squad or JV.
Okay. Well, and, you know, I talk about it a lot, but, you know, he is one of the most impressive coaches at Coon Rapids. Coon Rapids Tennis, so fortunate to have him. He does so much to promote the sport from the youth levels, running camps at the youth levels, running both high school programs. A few years ago, they had, I think it was like 40 or 45 kids, and rather than cut, he said, we're going to add coaches, we're going to add another team so that everybody could play. And that, to me, is so admirable. You know, and especially, you know, again, we go back to it's a lifelong sport. You want to encourage everyone to be a part of it. But also, you know, I've always advocated for not cutting kids, but to keep everybody playing at some level or another, especially at the high school ages when some kids will develop later than others. You know, so to have a kid you know, get cut from a team, again, doesn't matter the sport. For them to get cut from a team, say their freshman year, and then they may not come out their sophomore year because they lost a year. They're now way behind, but maybe they developed a little later. And you know, for me, I was less than 5 foot tall my freshman year. I'm not much more than 5 foot tall now, but you know, it was. I grew from 4'11" my freshman year to 5'4" my sophomore year, and 5'7" by my junior year. So to keep kids playing is I think a very admirable thing at any sport. And you know, when we look at all of the coaches, obviously any coach at the high school level, we appreciate what they do for the kids, the school, the sport, the community. But you know, two that really stand out are Coach Storick and Coach Bob Adams of the wrestling team, because they not only handle the high school teams, but they're there working with the kids from a very young age. And I guess I would also put Denny Green in that group, because Denny does a lot to promote cross-country running, Nordic skiing throughout the year. He's also the girls track coach. But you know, for them to dedicate that much time and really spend a lot of time promoting the sport in general and recruiting kids and encouraging them to get out and try something new is very impressive.
Could not have said it better. I mean, ooh. Looked like he fell pretty hard on that
Pivovar went
knee.
down hard and slow getting up. That was played back to his forehand, and he tried to cross back. Hopefully he's okay, and he's Looks like he smacked the inside of his left knee as he went down. Let's give him a minute to kind of stretch that out and walk it off. And I mean, it was a great play from Savelli to get him going back to his backhand, and just slipped a bit and went down relatively hard. And they'll take a little extra minute here to make sure that he can stretch it out. And those little things hurt a little bit more when it's this cold out too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nothing like slapping a stiff joint around.
It hurts enough to hit the ground, but yeah, when it's cold out, it just seems to hurt that much more. 40-15, I believe he said. So Cardinals hoping to start the second set strong. And they will get the win in game one and start out with a lead, something they didn't have throughout the first. Looks like just about everybody done there. One other doubles match still going down the way. It's always hard to judge. Had we known that theirs would have been the tightest contested match and the one that takes the longest, wouldn't have had them delay their start, especially with how quickly Sam was able to get the victory at first singles.
Yep. I love the question most people ask is like, when is the tennis match going to be over? I'm like, when it's over.
Yeah, when they're done. So
there's no shot clock here.
Correct. Yeah, shot clock coming to, now that you mention it, shot clock coming to high school basketball here.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's not next season, the season after, I believe.
Well,
maybe it's next
year. Maybe some of these players will get to experience the shot clock in tennis that they're now incorporating. I believe it's at the college level. Get around 20-25 seconds in between each point. Wonder how that would fare in college or in high school sports.
Like from the time one point ends to the time you serve the next point.
Correct.
I mean,
they give a little time to retrieve the balls.
It doesn't seem like it. I don't know that anyone would ever get close to that kind of. Suppose they got to try and move it along.
Oh, wow.
Again, good strong play at the net from Philip Gable.
He has just been there all match. An incredible out wide serve too. That ball just seemed to nick the line. Really tough to judge.
Well, it was definitely not the stroke that Pivovar was looking for. You heard the audible distress as he sent it well wide. For Rapids, an opportunity to break serve here and take a 2-0 lead in the second.
Two lets.
And if you're the Cardinals, you got to really be aware of where Gable is when he's playing up near the net and just doing everything they can to play it to the other side of the court or over the top, which that one was well over the top. Both Panthers attacking the net. Cardinals lobs not quite getting over, but over enough that Pivovar sends it long, and Coon Rapids will take the 2-0 lead here in set number 2.
So far seems to be a pretty effective strategy. That chip in charge. And even with Gable at the net, that underspin makes for a very tricky volley.
Solid service from Savelli, but a good return from Pivovar, and Savelli couldn't put it back over.
Strong second serve.
Tough double fault for Savelli, makes it 15-30. It was a really good recovery for Pivovar, but Savelli able to play across court to where Gable could not get it. And you saw him kind of slip again on that change of direction.
Just can't seem to push through that ball enough.
Believe 30-40, so an opportunity for the Panthers to break serve and get their first win here in the second set. Great drop shot there from Pivovar. And you see when Pivovar is playing the up position, he is well off the net. It was a point off, I guess, because that, no, I was right. That was a point chance to break, and they did. But Pivovar plays a ways off the net, almost back at the service line. But you know, when Gable's up, he is within arm's reach of the net.
Seems like Pivovar likes to sneak his way in there, just like that drop shot.
So the Panthers will be serving down 2-1, but up a set.
See if that chip and charge strategy sticks. bit of hesitation there between Savelli and Jensvold, but Savelli was able to quick twitch it.
Cardinals up love 40 here. Trying to take a 3-1 lead. Trying to see if they can even it up at a set apiece and get it to the tiebreaker. Good play there by Jensvold, but that one a little too deep for Savelli to get to. Still a couple of break points here. Now 30-40.
It's interesting to see how they're handling the change of direction of wind on this side. So far, I think it's working in their favor.
The wind has definitely been consistent throughout. As I prepared to come up, I looked at the temperature. I said, "Hey, we're almost close to 50. That's one of the nicer days of the spring so far." And then I saw the wind chill and went, "Oh,
never mind.
Let me grab a jacket."
Can't imagine playing in shorts right now.
Well, and that. I wonder too, you know, obviously you're going to wear a few more layers when you're playing. Does that affect how you play? I mean, if you're wearing a hoodie versus a t-shirt, I mean, that would seem like it might affect your swing a little bit because you're wearing more clothes. It's a little more bulky. I saw some guys out the original warm-up, they were wearing jackets, and I mean, that I've got to imagine that affects how it feels to swing the racket and hit the ball.
Yeah, it definitely can. I have a feeling it's all personal preference, but for me it definitely feels clunky. It feels like I don't have as much space to work through. I imagine for some of these guys it's like wearing a parachute.
Yeah. But yeah, I saw some players out in short sleeves, others like, you know, 3 of the 4 on this court are wearing hoodies.
They're just built different.
Deep lob right at the back line.
Wow.
Just long, and that'll be 3-2 now in favor of Coon Rapids here in the second set. Yeah, I thought the same thing last night. I did the girls lacrosse, and there were some players out there that had long sleeves on and were wearing long pants, and others that had shorts and the their jerseys are essentially tank tops. Same kind of thing. I'm sure it's personal preference, but even if you're running around as much as they do, it's gotta get a little chilly out there with that much exposed skin. But yeah, the wind today has been just very consistent and is definitely keeping anyone from overheating, I am sure.
I'd definitely say it adds to the grit, especially for Coon Rapids, given they're playing in this almost every day. A tactical advantage.
Just long, but both got a little scared there that Pivovar was going to strike his teammate on the follow through. They got so tight to one another. But yeah, you see the Gable just right on top of the net, and he's been effective there. I mean, whatever works, definitely. But he, as I mentioned earlier, he's clearly moves well. He's good athleticism. Moves both ways pretty well, and he can do that.
It seems the coaching staff for Spring Lake Park understands that the longer the ball's in the air, the more the wind can do what it wants with it. So I guess for them right now, just get on top of the net and stop it before it even comes over is the best bet. Meanwhile, Coon Rapids is trying to maximize the effectiveness of the wind. Throw a little underspin.
And for this team, they almost have to work with lobs, especially when Gable's in the up position, because he is not letting anything by him.
Pivovar is doing a really good job of popping that ball up out of Savelli's reach. He just can't seem to overcome that. Wow.
Good point from Jensvold at the net for Coon Rapids.
Looks like he used all the racket on that one. Oh yeah, a little bit of frame.
Good strong cross-court shot from Gable, and Jensvold couldn't handle.
Doesn't quite have the that net presence like Gable. He might have to tap into that animosity and put those balls away a little bit quicker.
It's really a big service here for Coon Rapids, trying to get back in front in this second set.
I feel like this is a good time for Savelli to pick a spot and just continually go after it. Ooh, just
Great
like that.
cross court.
He found that one.
There you go. You got a shout out from the coach.
That's a feel-good moment.
Likened that shot to Ramil Sets back in the day. Unfortunately, follows it up with a double fault. And that will give the game and the lead to the Panthers, now up 4-3 in this second set. They won the first 6-4.
Crucial moment here.
Yeah, as big as that service was for the Cardinals, trying to break the upcoming service for the Panthers, even bigger now as they trail for the first time in the second set. And it's been very evenly matched. Outside of the early 3-0 lead in set one for Spring Lake Park, we've seen a lot of back and forth, a lot of games going to deuce.
Everyone came to play, and at this point it's, you know, who can work with and overcome the elements better. I feel coach has probably got to be telling them, you know, step into these balls, you know, the wind's slowing it down, put it away, put a little more body weight into these things. Get hungrier at the net.
Try and keep it away from Gable when he plays the net.
Yeah, let's be real. That's probably the main topic of discussion.
That you know, I'm far from being a tennis aficionado, but you know, I've watched enough to know that not many players play as tight to the net as he does, and he's done it effectively. Again, you know, he's got long reach, and he's athletic enough to move both ways, and also get up off the ground and play effectively up close. And Gable with the service here. His team up 4-3 here in set number 2. And a good play by Jensvold to split the Panthers and get Coon Rapids the early lead.
That's a pretty good start. You know, they used to teach this years ago, but if you ever had a player who was riding the net like that and just, nice shot, just dominating with their presence, they'd say, okay, we'll pick a reliable spot on the court. Players would go, well, we can't get to it because he keeps stopping it. Like, well, then it looks like he becomes your favorite target.
Well, that time, now we see Gable up, you know, right on top of the net, but he will drop back and then creep back forward a little more than Gable that just stays right on top of the net. It's 15 all here. A little help from the net on that one. And that'll give Cardinals a couple of break points to work with, trying to even it back up at 4-all in the second set.
finally connecting that forward momentum with their hits, getting into the court, working in favor for their volleys.
Strong play there, and Cardinals will get it back to even at 4-4 in set number 2.
The amount of underspin on that volley. Oh.
Caught him at the net that time.
Yep. He didn't have anywhere to go. But right back at him.
Not the angle that Pivovar was looking for. .30 love. As this court has become the center of attention here at the Pivot Courts.
Ooh, that ball did not bounce much.
Slipped under the racket of Joe Savelli.
Oh.
Pivovar again slipping as he went back to his backhand.
Might check those shoes. See if there's any sole left in them.
Just a bit long, but still another game point here for the Cardinals at 40-30. And that's a big win, puts them up 5-4. Opportunity here with a break to force us to the super tie break.
And this is another one of those moments where it's very tempting to think about the outcome. Got to stay in every game, every point, one at a time.
And I'm sure that that is a part of what Coach Stork is telling his players. Is we've seen this one go back and forth, but they were able to come back, win those last two, and give themselves a really good opportunity here to win the second set and force that tie break.
Mm-hmm.
And with every other court done for the afternoon, as I mentioned, this has become the center of attention. We've got Panthers sitting on the courts on either side. We've got the bulk of the Cardinal team alongside us here down the fence.
Yep.
Not sure outside of, obviously, Sam, we know won his. I believe Ryder held, it looked like, won his at second singles. Not sure what the score is, if the overall meet may already be decided, but
keep it a mystery.
I'm getting word that it's 5-1 outside of this match, so Coon Rapids has clinched, but the guys on this court, as important as that is, what happens between these lines is all they're thinking of.
Yep, and knowing Coach Storick, I imagine he probably hasn't told him the score. He wants him to stay in it.
Or does he tell him, hey guys, it's 3-3. It's up to you.
Actually, I hope he did that one.
There's Gable strong at the net again. Oh, he didn't think that one was going to get over, and it did. Just kind of slipped by him a little bit. One of the added bonuses to being the last ones going, you don't have to chase the balls as far. You got ball retrieval experts on both sides. But now 40-15. Gotta say, I like the way Pivovar calls it.
Mm-hmm.
Good, loud voice. I know what the score is, especially when he's on this side of the court. Saw that ball move all over the place as he was waiting on it. And now we're at deuce. Huge opportunity for the Cardinals after falling behind 30 love here in this game. Can do some things. That was just kind of held up and then decided it wasn't going to come over.
Just not enough working with it.
So add in for the Panthers. Again, just great net play by Philip Gable. Seals the deal, and we're at 5-all.
It's great net play.
Not once, but twice. Jensfold pushes it just a little too far. Right idea. He was looking for that corner, trying to slip it past the backhand of Pivovar down the line, but caught the top of the tape, and it's love 30.
He's really finding that up the tee serve well this second set.
That one just in tight, kind of handcuffed Jensvold, and now break point here. 15-40. Too long, and now that'll give the Panthers the big advantage at 6-5. An opportunity to get a win here and close out the straight stats victory.
It just seems like the Cardinals can't catch a break. The ebbs and flows of this wind, both sides, it's just changing up on them every single time. And they have to constantly adjust.
And the near side of the net seems to be where people are winning. Coon Rapids 1-2, then Spring Lake Park 1-2. Now, when you were playing, was Coach Pivic still here?
I think he had retired a couple years before, but he did make a guest star appearance every once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually taught me how to play against the wall one summer.
Yeah, he was, we talked about, Coach Storick and all he does for the sport. Coach Pivic was definitely an ambassador for the game in Coon Rapids as well for many, many years.
Yeah.
Strong play at the net for Pivovar gets them into the lead quickly.
Definitely an understatement.
And good thought, just played it a touch too long. It's 15-all.
Wow. Definitely over the shortest part of the net, though. I mean, great find down the middle.
What a big double fault gives Coon Rapids. I believe we're at 30-40.
30 all, maybe? It was a huge, huge point there.
That one's wide, and I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, I believe that was. I believe that was break point. So I believe we're at 6-6.
Wow. Tie break underway.
And tie break will be. Oh no, they sent it back to him, so maybe not. No, he is giving him up. All right. So yeah, so huge break, and so first to 7, win by 2. And it should Coon Rapids win the best of 7, win by 2, then they'll go to super tie break, first to 10, win by 2.
Yup.
unhooking and will get out. So the first point will go to Spring Lake Park.
Jensvold had some awesome digs there, scrambling around. The pressure just too much.
How do they decide? I suppose does it just the service continue to go through that same rotation when they get into the tiebreak?
I believe. Oh man, I was an ITA official. I should know this one, but I believe it's determined by whoever served first in the set.
Just on the line. Great
Oh,
play
wow.
again from Gable at the net, and an early 3-0 lead here in the tiebreak for Spring Lake Park.
He's just there every time.
That one just sent a little bit too long. That was all Savelli. Just kept coming back to him.
I believe just before the point, Cal was asking Spring Lake Park if he had touched the net or if his racket had crossed the plane before he made contact with the ball.
Couple of points for Coon Rapids and gets them back into this. Still trailing 3-2. Double fault will even it up. Switch service every 2 points, switch sides every 6.
Correct, yeah.
Very strong play from Jensvold, and Pivovar early on had a great play at the net, but Jensvold just doing a great job of sending Gable deep into the corner, and he gets the serve with Coon Rapids now up 4-3 in the tiebreak. Out in front of it a bit, 4-4.
It's a high bouncing second serve.
Pivovar will serve. Coon Rapids leading the tie break 5-4. Gable continues to be strong at the net. Hey, that is kind of the ultimate storyline of this match, I think, is two very evenly matched teams going back and forth, neither able to really hold any sort of momentum. And the second storyline would be Gable and in particular, but both of the Panthers really playing strong at the net.
Mm-hmm.
Tough time to double fault. And so Coon Rapids is up 6-5. So an opportunity here to win and force the super tie break, if I'm not mistaken, which is quite possible. But that's a double fault.
So now I believe we're in a win by 2 scenario.
I believe that is correct. I believe it is 6-all. Coach Storick trying to keep him moving. So yeah, at an advantage here are the Cardinals, trying to force it to a super tie break. And a double fault will give them the 7-6 win. So now they will go to the super tie break, correct? Well, Ramil, I want to thank you for being with us. The clock is ticking, so you got to head out. I do appreciate you being here and helping me out, though, this afternoon. And I guess you'll just have to tune in to YouTube, CTN Coon Rapids, a little bit later to catch the conclusion.
That's right. No, I really appreciate you having me here. This is awesome. It's great to be on here with the legend.
Well, I don't know if I go that far, but I do appreciate your assistance.
Thank you for all you do, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we have a great time, and hopefully you can join us again sometime.
Yes, sir.
And we will watch as these two get ready for the super tie break. 1st to 10, win by 2. And as we talked about, just neither team able to get any kind of momentum throughout this contest. It's been back and forth. A 6-4 win in set 1 for Gable and Pivovar of Spring Lake Park, a 7-6 win in set 2 for the Cardinals of Savelli and Jensvold. And now we go to the super tie break. First to 10, win by 2. Looks like Gable will have the opening service of the super tie break. The team competition already decided in favor of the home Cardinals. They have won 5 of the first 6 to finish. Good play by Pivovar at the net. Good play by Jensvold, but just long. Double fault for Cal Jensvold. Couple of good plays at the net, first by Joe Savelli and then followed up with some good back and forth play from Jensvold. Finally the long shot from Gable hooking and ending up out of bounds. 2-1 lead as Pivovar serves here in the super tie break. And he double faults. Return into the net from Savelli. So the Cardinals will get the service, but trail 3-2 here in the super tie break. And now a double fault for Savelli. They'll switch sides with Spring Lake Park leading 4-2. First to 10, I believe. Win by sun trying to fight its way out from behind the clouds it's been hiding behind all afternoon. Could have made its way out about an hour and a half ago. And a good return cross court from Pivovar out of the reach of Savelli. Didn't put a lot on it, but put it in the right spot. And now the Panthers with a 5-2 edge. And again, strong net play from this top duo from Spring Lake Park. This time from Ian Pivovar. They have a 6-2 advantage. Long back and forth battle. That one was just too long, and it's now a 7-2 advantage. Pivovar and Gable jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the first set. Coon Rapids battled back, made it close to the end, lost that first set 4-6. And after Coon Rapids led early in set number 2, it was even at 6-all. Coon Rapids winning in the tiebreak 8-6 to force this super tiebreak. And now they need a little bit of a rally here, trailing 2-7. Quick plays at the net, and Savellis is into the net. It's now 8-2 in favor of Spring Lake Park. The return into the net. Now 8-3. Nice play by Jensvold, and Pivovar able to get a racket on it, but no chance to get it back in play. And at 8-4, we'll switch sides. Another quick back and forth at the net. This time it's Pivovar playing it short. Coon Rapids chipping away at that lead. Panthers had jumped to a 7-2 advantage in this super tie break. Now still hold an 8-5 edge. Strong play from Jensvold at the net, and we're back within a couple. And Long makes it 8-7. And this is what it has been all afternoon between these two teams, just back and forth. Neither team giving up much momentum or allowing their opponent to get too far in front. Ooh, right down the line, and it will be match point for the Panthers. Biggest service of the game here for Ian Pivovar. Right down the tee, and Gable can't quite keep it in, so Coon Rapids keeps its hopes alive. They will get the service. Still a match point for Spring Lake Park. If Coon Rapids can win the next point, they'll be able to force it to a 1-2, win by 2. Down the line, and Pivovar going for it again, slips and goes down hard, but that will make it 9-all. And so now an essential deuce situation. We've seen Pivovar slip and go down a couple of times in this match. None harder than the first. But he may be a little sore after this one's all said and done. 9-all in the super tie break. It doesn't get any closer than this. Coon Rapids will take the lead on the wide return. And now Coon Rapids will have match point. That one's long, and the Cardinals are going to survive and win with an 11-9 victory in the super tiebreak. After losing the opening set 6-4, they come back and win 7-6, 11-9. Coon Rapids, as a team, a 7-1 winner, will improve their record to 7-4 on the season. And this is one of the more dramatic back and forth close matches that we have seen in our tennis coverage history. And Philip Gable and Ian Pivovar for the Spring Lake Park Panthers gave us a great show, along with Joe Savelli and Cal Jensvold for Coon Rapids, turning in an instant classic to get the win and help the team to that 7-4 record to start the season. But that is going to do it for this edition of CTN Sports. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. To the entire crew, including Emil Setz, who provided such great color analysis throughout. I am Joe Young. Say good night.